October 5th, 2025. Had my first burnout this week, which is fine. I kind of expected some trial and error as it goes. Just kind of lay back, lay off on the annotation. It's super heavy annotation all the time. Really kills the, man, I already recorded this video and it was so good. But fucking I'm wearing I guess like a tank top, my nipple fell out. So I'm re-recording it because I don't want my nipple out. If I'm gonna post it, you know? It's gotta be more special than just an accident. So, a couple days ago was my pessimism day. Schopenhauer on psychology, Nietzsche, Beyond Good and Evil, What is Religion? Probably some stuff underlying in there, but again, I've been trying to lay off on the heavy annotation. It's just like hosting by the time I'm like doing this sort of mini seminar, I've comprehended a single book 4 times and then multiply that by 4 because I'm like doing like maybe 4 books in a day. It's just intense, and doing that every day is unrealistic because I don't have the that kind of surplus of energy or vitality, because then I don't even get to write or do other stuff that I like doing. So yeah, trying to be better about that. Maybe I'm making these videos a little bit shorter, but I also I don't know, we'll figure it out. Anyways, yesterday was my myth day though. 2 days ago was my pessimism day. Yesterday was my myth day. Today is my surrealism day, but I've only read 1 book so far. How am I gonna do this? Am I gonna work backwards? No, I'm not gonna work backwards. I'm gonna work from the back to the front. Okay. So, yes, Joseph Campbell. It was like The Belly of the Whale and The Road of Trials. I think this is just another one of his books that I'm just gonna have to sit down and really just do without as much annotating. I used to have this sort of romantic idea that I haven't read a book until I've read it 3 times, which is which is insane. But it's like the first time I would read it, I would have like, I would only underline stuff that really stuck out to me, and then the second time I would do heavy annotation, and the third time I would do it for like fun. But it's all supposed to be fun. What the heck? I mean, annotating can be fun, but it's just when it's all the time and that's all you're doing. I don't know. Too much of a good thing. But yes. Oh right, I finished Man and His Symbols. I got so sick of I don't know, I just wanted to get onto the other books. Okay, so because I finished that, I now have like a pretty good theoretical foundation for the rest of Jung's work. Particularly, next up is The Archetypes of the Collective Unconscious, which I'm super excited to read. Not only because it's freaking a cool name, cool title, but it just goes into things like the anima, the shadow, or the animus/animus, and then the shadow, and just like those sort of aspects of the inner self, I suppose, in a way that, I don't know, the organization I quite am fond of the psyche. I'm just curious about it, at least in giving it more dimension, almost in a phenomenological sense, phenomenological sense, phenomenology, ical. Okay, you get what I mean. And so, yes, and also it gives depth to one's own dream characters. So yeah. But okay, Joseph Campbell. Then I read Siddhartha, and Siddhartha still good. What I read, it was Gautama, about the Buddha that comes in the beginning of the book. I don't know, whatever. I'm not spoiling anything. It's there. Govind kind of goes off with him. Siddhartha has this conversation with the Buddha. What I really liked, he's like, the Buddha's like, you speak you have a very clever way with words. Beware of too much. Be careful about too much cleverness. And I like this phrase. Then he has a sort of awakening, and in part 2, which begins right after that, is the awakening is worth mentioning because it's like Siddhartha has this epiphany. He's like, all these sort of this knowledge I've been seeking has been the knowledge of others outright and not of my own self. I've been running away from myself, and under the guise of seeking myself through others, instead of just seeking the self through myself. And so then he kind of goes off and meets this woman named Kamala Harris. No, but that was so stupid. Yeah. Siddhartha. Tons of great like symbolism. I'm pretty sure I might have mentioned it before. I did mention it before, but there's some Jungian influence there, I think, by Hermann Hesse. Then Dante's Inferno, read cantos 4 through 9. I really like the end of 4, because you sort of, at the end of the first circle, you see all the heavy hitters, the pre-Socratics, like Heraclitus and them, and then you see Socrates and Plato, and man, just walking into that scene would be so freaking epic. But there's something about the depiction, the Hellscape depiction, that I've always been quite fascinated with. And even in so much as the Heaven-scape depiction, which I think he gets into in Paradiso, but yes, I guess to me it's always, or as a child, I always thought of heaven as this eternal paradise, which ultimately ends up in, I suppose, like forever bliss and ecstasy, which is, as a human who's accustomed to boredom, I find trivial, where I'm just like, in what way could that be? Is that not the numbing of the flattening of oneself into a single dimension under the guise of joy? Does that sound like, where's the adventure? Where's the I don't know. But maybe that's very human of me. What am I thinking? Oh yeah, and then also, like, just everybody's up there, just everybody ever. I just thought of it like as a party, or where just a reunion, like a giant family reunion of just everybody, and you just kind of wade through the crowd, and end up finding your people, your family, your deceased loved ones. You get to meet the grandfather that you never met because he died before you were born. Just like stuff like that. And so yeah, anyways, I love Virgil as a guide. He's just a hilarious guy. Dante kind of shrieks at the horrors of hell, and Virgil's like, no, it's fine. Let's just come on. We'll be fine. You'll be fine, and sort of laughs it off. And even there's a point in which the three Furies sort of reveal themselves, and Dante's like, oh my god, and Virgil's like blatantly just like teasing them, or sort of just calling them out for who they are. I don't know, because he knows that they won't do anything because they serve someone else. And then also the depictions of each circle is always very it's fun to imagine. Okay, then Ovid, Metamorphoses. The Flood, Deucalion, and Pyrrha, and Python. Still in book 1, but man, do I love Ovid. The Flood, there's always sort of a great dread that comes with any sort of flood for me. I don't know if it's because I watched like 2012 when I was like 11 years old. These giant tidal waves, but it's just it's an impending doom. It's like, it's over. How do you even get out of that? It's so done. And then, but there is when Jupiter releases all the winds, there's a depiction of the south wind that I really like. Notice. The wind of the south he released. Notice flew out on his soaking wings, his terrible visage covered in pitchy gloom. His beard was a bundle of rainstorms. Water streamed from his hoary locks, his forehead a cushion for mists. His wings and the fold of his garments were sodden and dripping. Yeah. And then, of course, it sort of recedes, the gods calm down. Neptune's merman friend, I think, Triton? Yeah. Who he blew the shells, the conch shell, his resonant conch, and the oceans and rivers and whatever, all the water receded, and all who was left was Deucalion and Pyrrha. And so these are the last two people, and they're like, what do we do? How do we even... There's just so much. This is so sad. Where is everybody? Obviously they know where everybody is, but we're just the last two people. How do we save civilization? And so they go to this temple and ask this goddess, and she tells them to throw the bones of their mother behind them. And at first Pyrrha's like, the bones of my mom? That's terrible. Why would I do that? And then Deucalion is like, what if we just think about the Mother Earth, and throw the stones behind us? And so they throw stones behind them, and the stones end up sort of morphing into human beings. And I this was a full circle moment for me, because the self is often depicted and symbolized as a stone. This has been a recurring pattern throughout human civilization, and is often mentioned in Jungian depth psychoanalysis, particularly in dreams. After a certain point, the stone will be, the self will be depicted as a stone, or can be, or when it is, and when it's a stone, that's you, I guess. So okay, yes, I'll read it very quickly because I thought it was interesting. There's also a point in which the elements are mentioned, and that was also worth noting. Okay, yes, the stone self, and whatnot. And then Python, after the freshly deposited mud grows hot in the sunshine, the farmers turning the clods of their plows discover a horde of new creatures. Some have arrived on the threshold of life and can even be watched at the moment of birth, while others are still half-formed and without their limbs. It will sometimes appear in a single body, that one of its parts is alive and the rest is composed of mere earth. There's an epic, like, sort of body. It's almost like body horror, but it's just body. Whatever. Okay. Like a reconfiguration. When heat and moisture are blended, we know that they lead to conception. Heat and moisture. Everything owes its first beginning to these two elements. Though fire is at war with water, their combination produces the whole of nature, procreation from friendly enmity. And that is just so rad. So enmity, I didn't know what that meant. It means the state of feeling or being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So we have these two sort of juxtaposing elements, fire and water, having friendly hostility to produce the whole of nature. And that's just super rad. And there's this python that comes out and it's sort of destroyed with a bunch of arrows. And from that came the Pythian games, the Pythian games, which is a Greek festival celebrated every 4 years, which is second only to the Olympics. So that's pretty cool. The origin of that festival. What was it, since 520 BC? Something like that. I could be messing that up. 582 BC. Okay. And then today, I read The Accursed Share by George Bataille. Just read the sort of first part of theoretical introduction, which talks about the meaning of general economy and the laws of general economy. Man, I am... That was like a stutter, but like with a vibration. Just to give an idea of what this book is about, I'll just read a couple of the chapter headings because I don't feel qualified to give my thoughts on it just yet. The dependence of the economy on the circulation of energy on Earth. The necessity of losing the excess energy that cannot be used for a system's growth. War considered as a catastrophic expenditure of excess energy. And then the laws of general economy. The superabundance of biochemical energy and growth. The limits of growth, pressure. The first effect of pressure, extension. The second effect of pressure, squander or luxury. The three luxuries of nature, eating, death, and sexual reproduction. Extension through labor and technology and the luxury of man. So it's just... I only read the first part today, which is only like 20 or some 27 pages, but I'm really excited about this guy, The Accursed Share. Because energy expenditure, particularly when talking about the way in which energy is consumed and organized and distributed evenly and unevenly, and what the effects that has on a civilization has been very curious to me, and yet I've somewhat danced around it, or tiptoed around it rather, because it does intimidate me. And I guess I'm trying to face that a little bit more these days. Yeah, okay, so that was my attempt at making a shorter video and spreading out the information, or the concentration of energy, which of my own. Not so much in it very quickly the word energy becomes sort of thrown into like spiritual, esoteric circles in a way that's like almost insufferable. But it's not the way in which I mean it. The way I mean it is my own battery life on a given day, and how to distribute that in a way that doesn't result in burnout every day. So, okay. Yes. I will catch you later.